Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Mind, Your Reality, Your Results. We're a weekly LinkedIn Live show where every week I meet with an expert in the subject of mindset from a variety of areas. And we talk about how you can get the amazing results that you want in your life and your business. If you don't know me, my name is Leah Fink, and I'm the founder and owner of All Thrive. So our job is to strengthen people, solidify relationships, and change lives. And we do that through running a variety of workshops that focus on personal development and mental health. So I would love to chat with you about that if you're ever interested. But I am especially excited today to introduce Bernadette Geronazzo. I'm just thrilled to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much, Leah. It's a real honor to be here. Delighted. I really am.
Excellent. Well, I know that you guys will also enjoy Bernadette's expertise. And I do want to encourage you that if you're watching this, please feel free to comment, ask questions. You have someone in front of you right now who can answer them. Even if you are watching this after it is live and you really enjoyed and have a question, please do feel free to put it in the comments because we would love to get back to you with an answer for you. So Bernadette, why don't we start could you share a little bit about yourself and what makes you an expert in the subject matter?
Well, thank you very much for asking. So for those of you who don't know, I've had about an 18-year career in public and investor relations. And I guess what I'll do is I'll do a little synopsis of my journey. I started working with really visionary leaders in both high technology as well as telecommunications at the beginning of my career in PR. And then from there, I became an association member with the International Association of Business Communicators and was very fortunate to have won what is called a Gold Quill Award for work that I had done in special events for one of my corporate clients. And then from there, I was invited to be the liaison between the city of Calgary and our community of Marda Loop. What's interesting about that is we had a little garage sale that used to happen in our neighborhood. And so myself and a number of volunteers, we rebranded that to become what is now known as the Mardi Gras Street Festival. And since that little escapade, I've moved on to, again, working with corporate clients in technology as well as professional services. I've been lucky enough to be a co-author in a couple of books. And I've also sat on the board of a couple of nonprofit organizations. So I've done a lot of different kinds of public relations over the years.
And like I said, I'm so grateful to be enjoying the wealth of your experience today. And I wanted to start because you are obviously in public relations. And I think people, myself included, sometimes have mixed up what that means compared to marketing. Could you tell us a little bit more about what public relations is and what the difference is there?
Absolutely. That's not an uncommon question, right? There are a lot of lines today are blurred between public relations and marketing, but the distinction really is that marketing is actually focused quite often and almost exclusively on selling a product or service or convincing the audience that they need this product or service. Whereas public relations is far more about stakeholder engagement, which means we're really striving to understand what does the audience need? How is it that we can translate that need into something that the company could provide? But it's always based on research. So the real big difference is there's quite a bit more in-depth work that goes into public relations to understand the audiences and what they're looking for.
Yeah. Well, that's, I think, really where our businesses connect, is that ultimately it is about relationship, obviously, though, in a slightly different way. So with that being as important as it is, like understanding stakeholders and really doing that research, why do we see so much more marketing than PR?
Because everybody wants to sell. If you're in business, you really want to sell your product and your service. Yeah. And as a young company, I would say young companies in particular, but every company, they focus on marketing because that they need to have streams of revenue that are recurring revenue. They need to have streams of revenue that are diverse. So they need to have different streams of revenue coming into the company. So that's why you find quite a bit more emphasis on marketing rather than public relations. And also public relations isn't necessarily relevant for many companies who are smaller. It tends to have more meaning to a more established company that's either entering a new international market or they are addressing a need that they didn't address before, but they want to understand what that new avenue is going to look like. So research is required. And again, that's a function of public relations.
Great. Well, when we talked before, because I am one of those newer companies, I don't have 20 years of experience under my belt. What I liked is that you were able to link some of those pieces around PR mindset that even small companies can take on, right? You don't have to necessarily, I mean, obviously people would love to work with you, but you don't necessarily have to be able to hire a PR person, even if you're a small company. But there are some mindset pieces, and that's how we came to this analogy you mentioned of low-hanging fruit. So I would love you to explain what you meant when we talked about that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm happy to explore that. So what I mean by low-hanging fruit is, where is the greatest concentration of the people who have, and this is the Trinity, a need for your service, the ability to afford what it is that you have to offer, and a desire. So with those three things, the need, the desire, and the ability to afford, then what you're looking for is, where can I find the greatest concentration of those people who have those attributes? And that's what we call low-hanging fruit.
Awesome. And is that, would you say that's different? Yeah, for maybe more established companies versus younger companies, do you see those as different?
I do, actually. So in more established companies, I would say your low-hanging fruit is part of your business that maybe some companies tend to overlook, and that is your past clients and your vendors and your employees. All of these are stakeholders that can really influence your business. And so when we say low-hanging fruit, we often refer to immediately the past clients that you maybe haven't done work with in a while. And why that's so important is, obtaining a sale from a past client is 7 times easier than getting a sale from a new prospect. And current research tells us that you actually require 7 to 27 different touch points with a new prospect before they're going to make a buy decision. So that's quite a bit more money and effort and resources.
Yeah, well, that's a huge difference, 7 times. And I think it was actually you that mentioned to me a while ago, yeah, this our 7 to 12 touches with the amount of people that are online, and online marketing has changed. I mean, 7 to over 20 touches, that's a lot of work to get a new client.
It is, and this is because clients have a great deal of choice today, and clients are fickle, right? People are fickle. What was really meaningful for them at one point may not be as relevant, in their current reality. So it's very important, I believe, for companies to stay in a subtle way at the top of mind for their prospects, so that when the customer is ready to make the buy decision, you and your product and service come to mind for them. But that takes effort and consistency.
Definitely. So that's for the more experienced business people that maybe have a big client base they want to keep in the front of their mind. You said something about adapting to what those clients need, or finding that out. What would you say for the newer businesses is the low-hanging fruit then?
Okay, that's a great question. So for newer businesses, the formula is still the same. So you still need to find a concentration, a greater concentration of people, so a larger number of people that need, want, and can afford what it is that you have to offer.
Yep.
And once you have established that, and maybe we'll take a little example. Would you like to give me an example? Or shall I just pull one out?
Pull one out from your experience.
Absolutely. So let me give you the example of a fairly new business that has decided to invest in retail property. So I'm not sure if viewers are aware, but I think retail space has become less than favorable in the eyes of the banks. But with landlords in this particular time in our history, and with COVID and the number of closures that have happened, landlords are far more reasonable, and they're far more eager to meet the needs of a new tenant. So in this particular example, this company this company I'm referring to is called Fresh Kitchen. They're a wonderful little company. They are focused on providing highly nutritious and quite beautifully prepared food in advance. So you can it's kind of a pick up and go kind of business. They focused very heavily on catering. And when the opportunity arose here just a few weeks ago, they took over the David's Tea location. So what I'm talking about here in terms of low-hanging fruit is, it's the real estate analogy: location, location, location. By positioning themselves in a location that was right beside Village ice cream in Marda Loop, you can appreciate how the lineup of people that you have often seen outside of a Village ice cream shop could very easily be encouraged to step into the new business that is right adjacent to them, and thereby gaining new clients just from walk by traffic. And of course, because they used to be in Altadore before and have just come back to Marda Loop, there's also this idea of past clients that are rediscovering them. That's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. So as a new business, I can look at, it's kind of like my strategy for reaching out to those people. It's the channel of communication, because I found my group that has my need and my money and wants to do this. And then it's open a channel of communication. Do you have maybe some other examples of reach out methods for that?
Sure. So when we talk about channels of communication, it's really important to understand what your audience pays attention to. What do they read? What do they listen to? What are they looking at? And it's in one of those channels that you're very familiar with and they use frequently. It's that channel that you want to be using to communicate with them. So sometimes a company might miss the mark if they choose a channel of communication that doesn't resonate with the audience, but it's what they think should be used. So for example, we'll just use social media. So sometimes social media is the go-to channel, but I'm going to use an out-of-the-box example. But if your audience happens to be senior citizens, the likelihood that social media would resonate might miss the mark. But if you look at a channel of communication they embrace, one research would tell us that a vast majority of senior citizens tend to watch television. And so television would be a better channel of communication to reach that particular segment. So that's what I mean by channels of communication. Great.
Yeah, and how would you say, how would you test that out? Because obviously you have the time and experience that this is your job, is to actually research that. But maybe for someone who's like, I don't know, I've done my research, I think this is the way to test this out. Are there any things you'd recommend for them, or do you have a good example for that?
So yes, actually, we can talk in general terms, right? Yeah. So we'll talk in general terms about a service company, a service-based company. So when you're a service-based company and you have a service that you're wanting to attract new customers to, what's really great to look at is taking a look at, we talked about mindset earlier, so taking a look at what is it that this particular group of people already watch and listen to. We'll use those two channels.
Yeah.
What is it that they currently watch and listen to that might be close to or affiliated to what it is that I am a specialist in? Yeah. And so I'll use the example of, I'll use the example of psychological services or, support services. So if you're looking at, something that's based in psychology or mental health and support, then you might look at associations that are focused on mental health and wellness, because there already is a group of people that they are serving through that association that are keenly interested in mental health and mental health issues. So that's what I mean by a way to reach your audience in an easy way, and what you might look at if you were new in the market.
Amazing. So that, to me, that's a great idea. Like you said, low-hanging fruit doesn't mean that it's a lesser thing. It just means be the smartest about reaching the right people through the right channel. I mean, it sounds so simple, but also is probably missed by a lot of people. They have their own idea of what they want to pursue versus following what their clients maybe are looking for.
And I would say you're absolutely right. And for some businesses that have been around some time, they have relied on traditional channels of communication or traditional ways of doing business. But it's really important to check in with your audience every now and again. Find out what it is that they want, what it is that they need, and how your business could fulfill that particular desire and need that they have now.
Yeah. So staying updated with your client, don't just once and done.
That's right.
Keep adapting to what they need. Oh, excellent. So are there other pieces of low-hanging fruit that you would recommend that companies be aware of when they're looking for clients or when they're looking to continue work with clients?
Yes. So other types of low-hanging fruit that I might point to is in terms of engagement. You might tend to look at even your employees, right? Or
Hmm.
ways in which your company is being relevant to the community. This is another aspect of low-hanging fruit. So sometimes, if there's a community initiative that it really resonates with your values, and this comes under the guise often of cause-related marketing. But I point to it because as a public relations move, you can really engage your local audience. I'm going to give a different example if you don't mind.
Great.
Thank you. So not so long ago, Fishman's Personal Care Cleaners did something very interesting. They held 2 kinds of contests, and their desire was to have younger people aware of their business in dry cleaning, in wash and fold service, shoe repair and alterations. And so by appealing to their senses of excitement, creating a prize package that was highly coveted, and then creating a little Instagram contest, what resulted for them is something in a 2-week period that I thought was very impressive. So we were able to be part of that, and it was over 1,000 new conversations that came through on Instagram, and 200 plus people actually entered the contest. So that's what we call, a qualified success, because all of those people were fairly new and didn't have a great deal of awareness of Fishman's Personal Care Cleaners before that Instagram contest. And furthermore, some of the merchants that were part of the prize package on 17th Avenue, the additional benefit was they also shared the contest with their followers. And so this elevated the visibility of the brand of the company to a whole new spectrum of people.
Oh, that's great. So when I think of that and I'm hearing you talk about this, what's your thought on, collaborative partners and referrals and testimonials? Would you also consider that in this category of low-hanging fruit, or those easier people to access?
Yes, absolutely. So referrals are something, again, that sometimes a company may overlook in asking for, and there is an ideal time to ask for a referral. So I'll let everybody know what that is. Nobody has to ask the question. So the best time to ask for a referral is when your client is at their happiest. So when the car is delivered, when the course is finished and they're feeling excitement because they've gone through the process, that is the best time to ask for a referral, and to make it really easy for this individual. One of the techniques that we use in PR to activate that portion of the brain is to say, who do you know who might truly benefit, as you have, from what we have to offer? Does somebody come to mind? And if they do, would you mind introducing us?
Excellent. Yeah, take your happy customer, and they're more likely to say, yes, I like the other people in my life. I want them to have this same thing. Do you have any particular strategies for testimonials as well? Like, do you prefer video? Do you prefer written? How do you reach out to people for those?
Well, in today's day and age, of course, video testimonials are probably the most compelling, right? Because they activate those learners that are both auditory and visual at the same time. So video testimonials are wonderful. In public relations, one of the things that we strive for a little bit is managing the message. And in media relations, that's not within your control, really. So when people are wanting to say something about your company or about your service, they'll often do it from their lenses. And if you're looking for a particular piece of information to be included, it's often very wise, I would say, to include that in writing, as a little guideline. Here are some of the things that I remember we worked on together. If you'd like, this could be something you could edit and revise as you see fit, but you help the client, because really you don't want to make your clients work. And by providing them a draft testimonial that they can edit and revise, they will be grateful that they didn't have to struggle to come up with the words initially. And especially if you're being extremely accurate in terms of what you provided, and I would say humble, in what it is that you're asking for, so it's not inflammatory at all, then the client is going to be much more inclined to give you that kind of testimonial as well.
Yeah. Well, so you do want to make it easy. Of course, people are busy. It's harder to think of all the things. And if you've already had that conversation where they've told you all the amazing things that they love about you, it should be, pretty simple to write that down and be able to give it to them.
That's right. And also in our day and age, we know that everyone looks at reviews of a company. Yes. And so that's, again, another area that you could potentially, for your real key, your champions in the field, I would say you could ask them, because that's a bit more onerous on the behalf of the individual. They have to go to your website. They have to, give you a star rating. Then they have to write the review. But if you help them out with some of the phrasing, I think in many cases, they're very grateful.
Oh, excellent. And so you mentioned that you can't necessarily always manage the message with media. Does that include social media, or do you have any suggestions for managing your message there?
Well, that's an excellent question, Leah. Thank you so much. I think what we've seen in recent months, I'm not going to say recent years, I'll just say recent months, there has been an unfortunate tendency for some individuals to use social media as a platform to express maybe opinions a little bit more vociferously than you as a business owner might appreciate. So I would caution everyone who's listening, if you are engaging on social media, remember you're always being judged by what you say and what you do. And this is a reflection of your brand. As such, I would strongly encourage you to always take a tone that is highly complimentary, positive, encouraging. And if you have something that is maybe difficult and someone is maybe addressing it through social media, my recommendation is pick up the phone and see if you can resolve the situation in a very friendly conversation, person to person.
Yes, you wouldn't want to get an internet fight with someone that's unhappy on your sites. That sounds absolutely horrible. Excellent.
Is there anything else I can answer for you today?
I think that's given me a pretty comprehensive look. I mean, I certainly appreciate going deeper into your role and how you're helping people, because it's giving me some ideas of how I, as a solopreneur, could apply some of those concepts into my work. I'm just wondering if people do want to get in contact with you, if anyone's listening who's maybe part of a bigger organization or they have some questions, how would they do that?
Well, thank you. So In the Public Eye is a boutique public relations firm. www.inthepubliceye.ca is where you'll find the website. And if anybody would like to reach out to me, they can go either on my website or I'll offer my telephone number, I suppose, 403-862-4374. And my email is there as well. Is that helpful?
That is very helpful. We'll make sure to put it in the comments as well. So if anyone's looking for that, they can just click through and join and come start a conversation with you. Bernadette, I just want to thank you so much for being here today. This has just been a really lovely conversation, and I hope everyone's enjoyed it.
Thank you so very much. It was a real honor to be here.
Excellent. And thanks everyone for watching. Take care.
Thank you.